I was reading this article that there was a scene that was just a little too, um, I guess, graphic or violent that they kind of removed from the movie, and it wasn't anything too crazy. They kind of tied it back to Gore's background of him being religious and him having these religious tattoos. But then when he loses his faith on the gods, I guess he just starts ripping the tattoos off or cutting them off. Like they didn't go into too much detail, but do you guys expect this movie to have any, PG-13 graphic moments or very violent moments?
Yeah, this character is so he has a good story. He's the hero to his own story. He's gonna suffer. So yeah, I would like to see it get a little bit dark like that, and kind of have us feel and understand why he's doing what he's doing. Like if he loses his family and or his whole planet because of this god. But yeah, even in the trailer you see it. He has like very light tattoos going around his face, and then another one when he's evil, you see scars in replacement of those tattoos. So definitely can see that happening.
I don't know how gruesome they would get with these movies because they kind of keep it not lighthearted, but they only they never push the violence too far like that. Um, but the type of characters that Christian Bale tends to play when he's a bad guy or evil and stuff, he does get, we've ever seen like American Psycho and stuff like that. He does what he got to do, and maybe he pushes the direction of the film itself to show stuff, and I don't think we'll get anything like God of War violence, but they'll indicate like, yo, he did some messed up stuff to these gods.
To add to that, dude, like moving forward, I would love to see that. I would love to see that Marvel as a whole kind of like give a little bit more violence to these villains. They're villains. This is, we're not supposed to agree with their thought process. We're not supposed to agree with their morals and values of what they choose to do. But looking back into the MCU, you had Killmonger. This dude was himself scars for every kill that he made. That was pretty dark. We've seen villains make choices that were like, oh, this is kind of dark. And even most recently, the violence has escalated with like Moonlight. And then they're going to come out with characters in the future where it's like they're not going to have a choice but to really set up the tempo and the bar a little bit higher with Blade. Because if you have a vampire with no blood, like, come on. And then you have another character, Deadpool, like, he has to be rated R. I don't see a PG-13.
Yeah.
Or even Wolverine down the road. Like, the Russo brothers want to make Wolverine. And I really hope they get to do that. Because, to me, they've made some of the best MCU movies as a whole. And I'm talking about, like, not even the Avengers, like Winter Soldier, Captain America.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. So if you're going to show a Marine, which Wolverine is, and the type of style of hero that he is, like, they need to show blood. They need to go all out with this character. He's a savage. He's a beast, So I kind of want to see that with villains.
Yeah, we got to see. Yeah, we have to see how threatening they are, right? And how do they pose a threat to the hero and why the hero needs to overcome. Because to your point, there were some cool moments where they hint at it. Malekith, for example, even though they dropped the ball with his character, because Malekith in the comic books is a really awesome Thor villain. But at the beginning of Thor: The Dark World, we actually see how he turns on his own people. Like, he's killing dark elves just to be able to take out Asgardians, right? So seeing more moments like that to really show, hey, this villain is bad. He just killed a puppy. You know what I mean? Would be great. I think you made a good point, John, where lately, you've been kind of seeing a little bit of, I don't want to say graphic to an R-rated extent, but they kind of push that PG-13 boundary, right? Because let me tell you, Multiverse of Madness has some really creepy, gory looking scenes, especially with Scarlet Witch when she was coming out of that gong, out of the reflection of the gong, and she was all crippled and whatnot, and she got twisted. Like, that was creepy. That was straight out of The Exorcist, man. And then the scene where where Xavier was trying to save Wanda, and she comes out through that red mist, and then she just pops out and just snaps his neck.
No, dude, she
There were some
rips his
gruesome
face in
moments.
half.
Yeah.
If you rewind it, she takes the upper half and the bottom half and rips it in half. She doesn't even break his neck. Like,
Yeah.
I agree. Like, I want to see more moments like that, because if they're capable of taking a hero, okay, Wanda's an Avenger, and she's killing people like bugs. Like, she didn't even care. She was, what was her line? This is like me refraining. Like, this is me being nice or something.
Yeah.
Like, come
This
on,
is me
man.
restrained.
Yeah, like I need to see more from the villains, you know, and there's been, like I said, going back into the MCU, like the best villains, the villains that stood out to me were the ones that were doing these savage things, like Baron Zemo, one of the no powers, no abilities. He's a straight human, and he did one of the most savage things. You know, he put the Avengers against themselves. Like Killmonger, another dude. Like, I want to see more. You know, I want to have these
And you know,
villains.
they hint at these things, because going back to Zemo, like, he straight up killed a psychiatrist to pretend to be him and left them stuffed in a bathtub, you know.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, even though they don't show these graphic moments, they don't really have to. It's really about hinting at it, letting your imagination come up with the worst case scenario.
Yeah, it's true. You brought up a good point with Multiverse of Madness, the way the Illuminati was taken out one by one. All those things were like, whoa, really kind of messed up. And it's like, it's nothing like what we would have seen in the early days of the MCU. And so, yeah, they should keep pushing towards that way. And I just thought of Endgame with Thor himself, who chopped off Thanos' head unexpectedly, and I never saw that coming. And you know, even some of the Avengers were like, "What the hell did you just do?" And that was itself. Like, he just one swipe and his axe and just killed him.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dano, but didn't he have like purple blood on the end of his axe?
Yeah.
He chopped off his head.
Yeah.
Like, that was like.
Yeah.
I want to see more of that. Like, it is what it is. Like, we should see. You know, these heroes, yeah, they're heroes and they're doing righteous things, but hey, war is war, you know? Like, you have a bad guy, you got to take him out.
You can push the boundaries of PG-13. That's why I say with Blade, if you do a Blade movie, it doesn't necessarily have to be rated R, right? We're talking about vampires here. You can kill vampires left and right, and it's okay. They turn to dust. You know, and then reserve some of the more gory, violent moments when vampires are killing someone. But even that, you can do where cameras just pan out and you just see blood splatter and stuff. And, you know, the MCU can just be smart with the ratings. I think even with Deadpool, if it wasn't that there were 2 Deadpool movies prior to this third one coming out, they probably would have made it PG-13, because you can do PG-13 Deadpool. The thing is that Ryan Reynolds already set that expectation of, hey, here's a Deadpool movie which is rated R, and we're pushing the boundaries. We're gonna have, you know, International Women's Day, right? We're gonna have these kind of, you know, jokes, and this is all ratchet. We're gonna cut hands and limbs, and they're gonna grow, and we're gonna see little baby hands and crazy things like that. Which, for those movies, it worked. It was great. It was funny. But how is that all gonna fit into the MCU? And that's the thing. When we see Deadpool 3, it's gonna be in its own part of the multiverse. And if we ever see him interacting with other heroes, it's not going to be that same version of Deadpool that we see in his own movies. It's gonna be toned down. Now, they can really leverage Deadpool's ability to break the fourth wall, and every time he's trying to curse, you know, you hear beeping sounds, and he's like, "What the beep? What's going?" You know, and they can kind of do something to play off of that. Pretty funny. It's like, Disney, what are you doing to me? Like, you know, those type of things, and I think that'd be awesome. But I think they could really push the PG-13 boundaries, and just kind of circling back to the villains, really. You know, I like what they've been doing with the villains, where they give them a nice deep story and they flesh them out. But we also got to see why these villains are threats, right? Why are they scary? Why are the heroes, you know, really trying to save the day because of, you know, something that these guys did? And again, just kind of bringing it back to Thor, what is it that's going to make Gore, the God Butcher, stand out? because his name is Gore the God Butcher. He needs to be butchering somebody.